So let's get started. I am starting your level work for today, okay? So please listen, try to understand, try to see if you know how to do this too, because we are moving on today, all right, to something different. So number one, let's start from the very basics and we'll get more and more and more difficult as we go along. Number one, online kids, somebody online, will you shout out? What's the first thing I need to do for this problem?
Make it into a fraction.
Okay, so I see that I have a negative exponent. So remember the rule is negative exponents. You flip it. Since this was on the top, now it goes to the bottom. When you flip it, remember the process of flipping it means that your negative symbol disappears. So now you have 5 to the positive fourth on the bottom. This answer is small enough where you can just solve it out, okay? It's not like something in the millions or trillions, so just figure it out. So in my calculator, I would just go 5 to the fourth is 625. So then it's just 1 over 625. Boom, that's my answer. Okay, number two, -5 to the negative fourth power. So for this one, I know as the online person just said, if I have a negative exponent, I have to flip it. So here's my question for you. When I flip it for number two, do I have to put the -5 in parentheses, or is it okay if I just leave it without? I need the parentheses, guys. So for positive numbers, it doesn't matter if you have parentheses or not. But for negative numbers, it does make a difference. You have to have parentheses for negative numbers. It was in parentheses, so you keep it in parentheses. Like this one, it's not in parentheses, so you don't put it in parentheses, right? But this one is in parentheses, so you keep it in parentheses. So the reason why is because look at how I type this. In parentheses, -5 to the fourth power is that a positive or negative, do you think? Positive, because I'm multiplying it 4 times, right? It's a positive. But look, if I were to forget my parentheses, that would tell me to do 5 to the fourth, which is 625, and then at the very end, stick a negative in front. So do you see how if I forget my parentheses, 50% of the time, it's going to change my answer. So you really have to know, when do you put parentheses? So since it was a positive, that's going to be my, that's going to be my answer. All right, number three, let's get even more complicated. And it's really complicated because of the negatives. Really, that's what it is. All right, so for number three, the 7, does that go to the top or the bottom? Bottom, because you have a negative exponent, right? So it's 7 to the first. Here's a trick question. What happens to this -8 to the 0 power thing?
-1.
Okay, so I hear some people say it becomes a 1, and some people told me that it becomes a -1. So only one of you are right. So which one is it? +1 or -1?
It's positive because it's a -8 and it's not in parentheses.
Okay, so it's a negative because it is a -8 and it's not in parentheses. So this is why this one is -1. -8 to the 0. It is not in parentheses. So if it's not in parentheses, it always tells you to do just the exponent first. 8 to the 0 is 1. Normally that would just disappear and we would forget about it. But because it's not in parentheses, the negative tells me that I have to put that in front. So that's why it is a -1. So it doesn't just disappear. It kind of stays, and it stays at the bottom because it wasn't a negative exponent. And then I put 1 as a placeholder because there's nothing there. So my final answer is -1/7 or 1 over -7. Same thing, right? Doesn't matter if your negative is on top, on the bottom, in the middle, as long as your negative is somewhere. But it has to be a negative. It's not a positive. So just be careful with that, okay? Okay, I hope you're following along. I hope you're doing this with us because this is your level work. You are going to be submitting this later. All right, let's do number 4. Number 4. Okay, 8. Top or bottom? Bottom, because you have a negative exponent. Oh, okay, -4 to the 0. Is that positive or -1? +1. Do you see how this one is +1? Because it's all of -4 to the 0. So anything to the 0 is 1. So if it's just +1, it just disappears, right? But then just don't forget that this right here, the 1 stays on top. Jackson, over your note, or Cooper, over your note, please. So then you have 1 over 8. That's really your answer. Whereas, do you see like the difference? This -4 to the 0 was in parentheses. This -8 was not in parentheses. That's why this one's a -1. and this one is a positive 1. Okay, the parentheses make a huge difference. All right, number 5. For this one, the 2, does it go top or bottom? Bottom. Is it positive 2 or negative 2? Negative 2, because it was a negative 2 here. So now here's my question. Should I put it in parentheses? No, I don't put it in parentheses because it wasn't originally in parentheses, right? You only put things in parentheses if they were originally in parentheses. Okay, the 3, top or bottom? Okay, so the 3 goes to the top. All right. Should I leave it like this or should I actually figure out like what the numbers are? Figure it out. Because you don't know if you can simplify the top numerator with the bottom denominator, right? You don't know if that fraction can be simplified. So 3 to the third is 27. Good. Okay. Negative 2 to the fourth. I know it's 16, but is it positive or negative 16? Negative. It's negative. Okay, so I hear some of you still saying positive, so we're not quite understanding. So let me say this one more time. Guys, negative 2 to the fourth is different than negative 2 to the fourth. Okay, this is how I would solve it. Negative 2 to the fourth is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. Taking all of this, multiplying it 4 times. That's why it's positive 16. This one is not a parentheses, so it's telling me do 2 to the fourth, which is 16. Because there is no parentheses, just stick the negative in front. So do you see how this answer is negative 16? So please be careful, okay? Yes, Lance?
Aren't you really just doing 2 to the power of 4 and then multiplying it by negative 1?
Yeah. Yeah, because there's an invisible 1. So yeah, you're really doing negative 1 times 2 to the fourth. That's why the negative just sticks at the end. You're right. Okay. That's why this one is not positive 16, it's negative 16, right? It's telling you to do 2 to the fourth, which is 16, and then stick a negative in front. If I were to put the negative on the top, negative 27 over positive 16, is that okay? Yes, because it's the same thing. As long as your negative is somewhere, it doesn't have to stick to the bottom. But technically, like you have to, like when you solve it, so you know that it ended up being negative. Right, but yes, in your final answer, you could put the negative anywhere as long as it's somewhere one time. Just, yeah, as long as it's not on both, because on a negative on the top and the bottom just means a positive. Okay, let's jump around a little bit. Now let's go to number 9. Okay, now we're getting a little bit more complicated because there's lots of stuff going on. So when you have lots of stuff going on, take it one by one. Okay, so let's start with this. 5 to the negative 2, top or bottom? Bottom, because there's a negative exponent. Okay, W to the 0, what happens to it? 1, so it disappears, right? It basically disappears. I mean, I could put a 1 at the top, but what's the point? I mean, like timesing it by 1 later, I'm just going to have to make the 1 disappear. Y to the negative 10, where does it go? Top, so Y to the 10 goes on top. So, am I done? Do I box it in?
No.
No. So notice how the 5 squared is a small enough answer. It's not in like the millions and trillions. So it's a small enough answer where you can just put it at the bottom and you're okay. So notice how I'm still showing work. Okay. You're not just writing the final answers, especially when we go further into this. Like let's do number 12. There's no way that you can just do it all in your head, okay? You are still showing work. So none of you are writing your final answers for your level work. It'll give you a 0, okay? All right, number 12. 17, stay or flip? Stay, because it's not a negative exponent. X to the 0, what happens? Disappears because it turns into a 1. Y to the negative 8, stay or flip? Flip. So do you see how that goes to the bottom? Okay. 4 to the negative 2, stay or flip? Flip. So now it goes to the top. If I have like lots of numbers on top, then you always know what symbol goes in between. Times, multiply. Okay, so it's not like 174 to the second power. It's 17 times 4 squared. Z, stay or flip? Flip. Okay, so now let's clean it up. So in my calculator, I would type in 17 times 4 squared. Just to figure out what that equals. Oh, okay, 272. 272, z to the 6 over y to the 8. Should I do anything else? Can I like subtract the 6 and the 8? No, because they're different bases, right? One's a Z and one's a Y. I can only do that if they're the same letters or the same base. Michael, you are not crossing out the questions that we're doing because we're doing it together. Okay, so, oh, wait, Michael, do you have Cami? Okay. I think Michael already left. All right, number 15. No, let's do 14. Okay. Number 14. Someone online, tell us, what do we do?
Times negative 4. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, distribute times, thank you. So what do I get, guys? Q to the negative 20. Okay, someone online, I'm not done. Now what do I do?
Make it into a fraction.
Make it into a fraction. Flip it because it has a negative exponent. Okay. Number 15, I have a different rule. So remember how this rule, whenever you had a power to a power, you multiply. But when I have like a multiply problem, what do I do with my exponents? Add them. So what do I get? 5 to the negative 4. 3 plus negative 7 is negative 4. Okay, but I'm not done because now I need to simplify. How? Fraction. Turn it into a fraction first. Flip it, right? Because it's a negative exponent. Okay, now am I done? No. 5 to the 4th is a small enough number. What does that equal? 625. Now I'm done. Okay, so again, please write out the entire number. As long as it's not in like the millions or trillions, you're okay. All right, let's do number 17. For this problem, ooh, they're all X's, so I know that they all get combined later on, but what do you think I do first? The dividing or the multiplying? Dividing, yeah, you should probably just do the dividing first. Okay, so here's a new rule. When I divide them, what do I do with the exponents? Subtract them. Thank you. So I get x to the 3rd times x squared. Now what do I do with the exponents? Add them. So my final answer is x to the, good job, this. 3 plus 2 is 5. Okay. Number 20. Eek. All right. First thing I do not want you to do is flip. Please do not start flipping things around because you see all of that to the negative 3rd. If you have something to the negative power, just like number 21, please don't start flipping. Distribute it first, and then you can flip after the parentheses are gone. Okay, but this is why this one's also kind of doubly confusing. Because there's a negative, well, the negative in parentheses is okay, but the issue is the negative is in the center. So I don't know which thing goes to the negative. Either one. So can I just choose? Yes. So which one do you want the negative to be? Q. All right, sure. If you really wanted it to be the 5, you would end up getting the same answer. But the thing is, don't put the negative in the center because you don't know where the negative goes. So let's just put it on one of them. Someone said Q first, so I heard Q. All right. So when you have lots of things going on in your parentheses, remember how we said first thing you do is put a 1 where you don't see any exponents? So just the 5 then. Take the negative 3, distribute, distribute. Okay, so this is me showing my work. I still have to show my work, guys. I go negative Q to the negative 12, right? That's 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Parentheses, thank you, thank you, thank you, right? There's a parentheses around the negative Q because it was originally in a big parentheses. So you must not forget, it still has to be in parentheses. It makes a huge difference. And it would for this problem. Okay, then for the bottom one, 5 to the negative 3rd. Okay, now you can start rearranging things. So Q, top or bottom? Bottom. But remember, it's still a negative Q and it's still in parentheses. The 5, top or bottom? Top. Okay, so 5 to the 3rd, Hudson said, is 125. You still have to multiply it out because it's a small enough number. Now this one, you kind of just have to think about it. If I have negative q and I multiply it by itself 12 times, would it be a positive or a negative? Positive, right? Remember how we said an even number as an exponent will always give you a positive. An odd number as an exponent would end up giving you a negative. So it's just q to the 12. So that would be my answer. And notice how there's really no way that I can type this in my calculator to figure that out. I have to just do it and see what that equals. Okay. Backside. 22 and 23 are monsters. I'm going to do one of them with you. So which one do you want me to do?
22.
All right.
23.
23 looks harder.
23.
Okay. 23. I hear more 23s because it looks harder. All right. Guys, it does look really difficult. But instead of thinking I have a huge monster problem, why don't I think I have a baby monster and I have another baby monster and do the baby monsters separately and then combine them all to be a medium-sized monster, okay? So let's do the first baby together. See, when you call anything a baby, then it's just cute, right? And so it's like, oh, it's not so bad. Okay, so that's not cute. I think it's adorable. I mean, this is what I dream of every night, you know, like just to keep my mind going. You don't do that? Same thing? No? Okay. All right. So when I have a bunch of things going on in my parentheses, what do I need to do? So Lincoln, are you saying that when you were born, your parents were like, oh my God, he's hideous. Oh my God, he's.
No, I was just, I just had a lot of hair.
You had a lot of hair.
Yes.
All right.
These are so cute, but I just want to grab their head.
I'm not gonna answer, or I'm not gonna continue that conversation. All right. So when you have lots of things going on in your problem, remember ones as exponents. Wherever you don't see them, put ones as exponents. Okay. The next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take the outer exponent and don't flip anything yet. Okay. Just get rid of the outer exponent by multiplying it all out. Okay. So let's just do this one. So I'm just going to start multiplying, distributing the 4. So online kids, you are up. This problem is yours, okay? So online kids, I have 2 to the what?
1.
Online kids, you're no longer an online kid.
4.
4, because 1 times 4 is 4. A to the what? Online kids!
Negative 16.
0.
0, because 0 times 4 is 0. Okay, online kids, B to the what?
Negative 16.
Oh my gosh, stop speaking. Okay, the bottom, B to the
12.
Cooper, I am going to pick you up and I'm going to,
Me too.
and I'm going to give you a big hug because this session is recorded. I all of a sudden remembered. So Cooper, I love you so dearly, but will you please, pretty please, with a cherry on top, let the online kids have a chance at glory here. That would be greatly appreciated, my precious child. You see, that's why. Okay. Second one. So next baby problem. I have 3 to the 1. All right. So here, this is what we're going to do. Take the 3, distribute, 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 distribute. So online kids. I have A to the what?
9.
Thank you. B to the what?
Negative 6.
Thank you. So you're just multiplying your exponents, right? Okay. On the bottom, 3 to the what?
3rd.
I hear the same voice and I don't even know who it is because I'm not looking at my computer. Can we have maybe someone else try? B to the what?
3rd.
Was that Cooper? Cooper, you didn't even get it
No.
right.
Oh, wait, 9.
No!
I was right the first time.
No, you weren't.
Oh,
12. 4 times 3 is 12. I am so ashamed. All right. A to the what? Online. Online.
Negative 12.
Thank you. Okay. Online kids, I'm sorry that you have to suffer through our 4th period shenanigans. Okay. So, oh, because you just do whatever Lan says. So if Lan says, hey, Cooper, why don't you stand up right now and dance like a, I don't know,
Monkey.
you know, then you'll be like, sure, Lance, whatever you say, BFL. Okay. So Now, remember, when I have two fractions, what I'm going to do is don't think, oh, I have two things. Just think of this. Whenever you multiply fractions, basically just combine it into one, okay? Because really, like when you multiply fractions, you just multiply straight across, okay? So now let's start rearranging. This is now when you would flip. 2 to the 4th, stay or flip? Stay. Okay, a to the 0, stay or I guess what does it turn into? Disappears, right? Because it's 1, so it disappears. B to the negative 16, stay or flip? Flip. A to the 9th, stay or flip? Stay. B to the negative 6, stay or flip? Flip. Okay, now let's do the bottoms because we just did all the tops. All right, B to the 12th, stay or flip? Stay. 3 to the 3rd, stay or flip? Stay. Over your nose. So 3 to the 3rd is on the bottom still. B to the 12th, stay or flip? Stay. A to the negative 12, stay or flip? Flip. All right. Now I have more things that I can combine. Okay. 2 to the 4th equals 16. A's, I have 2 of them on top. So how many is that total? 21. Because remember the rule, I can combine them by adding when it's like a multiply problem. Okay. The bottom, 3 to the 3rd is 27. Holy moly. Okay. I have B to the 16, B to the 9, B to the 12, B to the 12. So what do I do with all those exponents?
Add.
Add them. Did anyone add? What? Is it 51? Yeah. I don't trust Cooper anymore because he couldn't do 4 times 3.
No, it's 49.
49?
I have 49.
Cooper.
Okay, if 2 people got 49, I would trust those 2 people. Oh, yeah, of course. Okay. So that's my final answer. Notice how I showed my work, guys. So there still is something to show. All right, 24 and 25, I'm not going to do with you, but realize you can just type this in your calculator, right? In parentheses and parentheses. So for number 25, put it in parentheses, put it in parentheses. Okay, at this time, listen up. All of you are going to do a quick, like 5-minute thing first before you finish your level work, because I did half of your level work with you. So first of all, when you turn in your level work, all of the questions are answered, okay? Not just the ones that we didn't do together. So number 1 is still on your paper, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, all that stuff. Okay, the second thing is on your thing today in Schoology, before you finish your level work, because we did half of it together, you're going to do this first. There's a 5-question Schoology assignment. It should take you no longer than 5 minutes. Like all of you should be able to get 100 on this. If you are not getting 100 or an 80 on this, then I would be seriously concerned and you need to come and ask me for help because that means you're really not understanding 6.1 and we're moving forward tomorrow. Okay? Good job. Good for you. So proud of you. All right. So do this first. All of you are doing the 5-question Schoology assignment first. Okay. It should take you 5 minutes. And then afterward, you are finishing up your level, submitting it. And remember, the answers are here. And then do your video notes. Notice how video notes says part 1. There's a part 2 on YouTube as well. So just make sure you're doing the part 1.